Good morning. Europe is Tuesday, the 12th of June. Our top stories for you. History in the making. The handshake the world's been waiting for as Donald Trump meets Kim Jong-un. So is this a real path to peace or propaganda? We'll have full coverage of that. Plus, over in the Cube, our social media news desk.
Like a science fiction movie. That's how Kim Jong-un summed up this summit. We'll have your take here in the Cube.
Heading to shore after a political standoff, over 600 stranded migrants are finally heading to Spain. Our correspondent is on the boat talking to them about their hopes and their dreams. And big Brexit week. It's the moment of truth for the UK's Theresa May, with a series of key Brexit votes in Parliament that could decide her fate. Thank you for starting your day with us. So we begin with our top story. Call it a handshake for the history books. What was unimaginable just months ago became a reality this morning. U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in the same room. Well, the meeting comes after months of insults and threats. And while we're still waiting to find out if any agreement will come out of this, the tone has already turned more optimistic. Evelyn Laverick has this report.
A handshake to go down in history. It's the first time a sitting US president has met a North Korean leader, and both men recognized the significance of the formal greeting. Moments later, an optimistic President Donald Trump and a seemingly positive Kim Jong-un shared their initial thoughts with the world's press.
I feel really great. We're going to have a great discussion, and I think tremendous success. They'll be tremendously successful. And it's my honor, and we will have a terrific relationship, I have no doubt.
Then it was Kim's turn to speak.
Easy to get here.
The past has acted like fetters on our wings, he said, and the old prejudices and practices worked as obstacles in our way. But we've overcome them, and we're here today. The two men then went on to have face-to-face talks, and after 40 or so minutes, the pair headed for discussions attended by their top leaders. It's unclear if it's been a propaganda show or if progress is really being made. But President Trump was heard to say, "We will solve it, we will be successful, it will be done." Evelyn Laverick, Euronews.
Now, we'd just like to take you live to Singapore and have a look at what we're seeing there right now. This is where we are expecting the two leaders, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, to give a talk later, to talk to the press later about what they had discussed in that closed-door meeting. Now, Trump had already said that that meeting had been better than anybody could imagine. So they are expected to speak to the press and give what they had discussed. And we will have that live here on Euronews on Good Morning Europe, so do stay with us for that. And of course, the whole world is watching, but probably nowhere are people as anxious as in South Korea, which remains technically at war with the North. NBC News correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer joins us now live from Seoul. Jackie, what are the latest developments and what can we expect from this?
Well, Tessa, President Trump saying that this meeting went, quote, better than anyone could have expected. Naturally, he is optimistic and regional allies are hopeful. But there is also a degree of skepticism. They've been uneasy relying on a U.S. president going in to try to work on a nuclear deal when in the last couple of days we've also seen that same president verbally attack an ally like Canada over milk. South Koreans are looking for assurances on the U.S. security umbrella. Japan has been watching nervously from the sidelines, hoping the issue of short-range missiles makes it onto the table. All of these things are yet to be seen. What is clear is that Kim Jong-un will emerge from this summit with allies, something President Trump seems to be running short on these days. South Korea, China, Russia are all looking to build economic ties with North Korea. And let us not forget about the huge propaganda value of those images that we saw coming out of Singapore today. Kim Jong-un sitting beside a U.S. president who says it's an honor to be there. This is a goal for the Kim regime, something that eluded both his father and grandfather. Tessa?
And Janice, you're in South Korea. What are the hopes there? What is the mood like in Seoul?
Well, South Koreans have been watching this very closely, especially South Korean President Moon Jae-in. It was his April summit with Kim Jong-un that laid the groundwork for today's meeting with President Trump. And Moon is invested in this both personally and politically. He is also trying to navigate some very delicate diplomatic territory and trying to balance loyalties to both the U.S. and to North Korea. He also has domestic pressures. He's facing local elections here tomorrow, and much of his party's credibility has been tied to the North Korea issue. The Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, will arrive here tomorrow, presumably to brief South Korean officials on what may happen next after this historic meeting today. Tessa?
All right, thank you for that. Janice McIfrayer live for us in Seoul. Now, it was the handshake that the world was waiting for, but how did social media respond? Let's head over to theCUBE where Alex is waiting for us. Alex.
I can answer that in one simple sentence, Tessa. It is the #1 worldwide trend at the moment. Everybody seems to be talking about this summit, as you would. I mean, what an incredible spectacle we're seeing still going on. But let's just pull up. Donald Trump said he would know within the first minute whether or not Kim Jong-un was serious. Well, this is that first moment where those two met. Here they are. They walked together. That is the handshake the world was waiting for, with a little arm tap there. Now, obviously, everybody straight away onto the body language analysis. This point here from Ben Riley saying that the handshake actually lasted longer than 10 seconds, that first handshake. And he was saying the rapport between the two men, the men seem to be getting on better than he expected. It was warmer than he expected. And Claire Noel as well just tweeted saying, there didn't seem to be the weird jerk. Donald Trump doesn't seem to be trying to pull Kim in. Yes, there seems to be these taps on the arm, but we don't see that jerky handshake where he's trying to pull him in we've seen in the past. Now, for South Korean press, the focus was on Kim Jong-un. This was a piece published in a newspaper looking at everything from his face, his hands, to the rolls in the back of his neck. Needless to say, every inch, everything about these leaders was being analysed. But it wasn't just the way they walked, it was what they said. And Donald Trump's words saying he was honoured to be meeting with Kim Jong-un, that's not gone down so well with some people. This here from Christopher Miller saying, whoa, Donald Trump is slamming Justin Trudeau, neighbour in Canada, but says it's an honour to meet with Kim Jong-un. The suggestion here is that perhaps Donald Trump's going into this a bit too enthusiastically at a time when he is giving his allies, in this case, a bit of a difficult time. But then there are those words from Kim, what we heard. Kim is reported to have said, through his translator, that it was almost a surreal meeting, that it was like a science fiction movie, like a fantasy. This is on the balcony shot. So, I mean, I suppose that's fair to say. A lot of people on social media today can't stop talking about it, can't stop analysing every single detail of this. Like a science fiction movie, from the handshakes to the walks to the rolls on the back of their neck. Everybody's looking at the minute details. What's got your attention? Let us know using #theCUBE.
Well, more of that will be coming. Thank you, Alex, because the summit is still ongoing and we are still waiting for the two leaders to speak. And we will be bringing that to you here live as and when that happens. And we have breaking news now from the Aquarius, the SOS Mediterranean ship currently stranded in the Mediterranean with 629 migrants on board. Our correspondent Annelise Borges is the only broadcast journalist on the boat. Annelise, can you tell us what is the latest that you know?
Well, we have finally received those instructions. We've been waiting for instructions for the past 30 hours here on this same position on standby off the coast of Malta and Italy. We have finally received instructions to go to Valencia. So Italian authorities have accepted that offer made by Madrid, by the Spanish government to take all 629 people aboard the Aquarius to Spain. Of course, even though having a clear vision as to what will happen is a good thing for people here, medics on board and staff have been warning against this trip. They said this will be an extremely difficult trip for the people on board. Take a listen to what the coordinator of SOS Mediterranean had to say about traveling to Spain.
We're taking you live now to Singapore, and Donald Trump, U.S. President, is speaking. Let's listen in.
And we've had a really great term together, a great relationship. I'll be giving a news conference at 2:30, which is in a little bit less than 2 hours, and we'll discuss this at great length. In the meantime, I believe that they'll be handing it out on behalf of Chairman Kim and myself. And we're both very honored to sign the document. Thank you.
우리가 매우 중요한 문서에 서명을 하게 될 것입니다. 이 문서는 굉장히 포괄적인 문서이고 오늘 굉장히 좋은 아주 훌륭한 회담을 가졌고 또 아주 좋은 관계를 구축하였습니다. 2시 반, 즉 다시 말해서 약 2시간 후에 나는 기자회견을 할 예정입니다. 거기서 좀 더 자세하게 말씀을 드리겠습니다만은 일단 그 와중에 그동안에는 발표문이 기자들에게 배포될 것으로 알고 있습니다. 감사합니다.
Would you like to say something to the press?
우리는 오늘 역사적인 이 만남에서 지난 과거를 덮고 새로운 출발을 알리는 그 역사적인 문건에 서명을 하게 됩니다.
Today, we had a historic meeting and decided to leave the past behind, and we are about to sign a historic document.
세상은 아마 중대한 변화를 보게 될 것입니다.
The world will see a major change.
오늘과 같은 이런 자리를 위해서 노력해 주신 트럼프 대통령께 사의를 표합니다.
I would like to express my gratitude to President Trump to make this meeting happen.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. We're starting that process very quickly, very, very quickly. Absolutely.
Mr. President, 100%. Can you do this? Would you talk about Otto von Beers? Mr. Nancy, feel free to give up your nuclear arms.
You'll be seeing everything in just a little while. The letter that we're signing is very comprehensive, and I think both sides are going to be very impressed with the result. A lot of goodwill went into this, a lot of work, a lot of preparation. I want to thank everybody on both sides, Secretary Pompeo and all of his counterparts. They were absolutely fantastic.
네, 조금 후에 우리가 서명한 발표문의 내용에 대해서 곧 알게 될 것입니다. 아까도 얘기했습니다마는 매우 포괄적인 그러한 문서이고 양측이 그 결과에 대해서 굉장히 만족할 만한 결과입니다. 이 문서를 서명하고 또 이런 그 만남을 갖기 위해서 많은 사람들이 선의를 가지고 노력했고 또 많은 준비 작업이 있었습니다. 그 양측의 그러한 작업을 해주신 분들에 대해서 감사드립니다. 거기에는 폼페오 장관뿐만 아니라 조선 측의 그러한 여러 참여자분들에게 감사드립니다.
Thank you very much. It's fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you a little bit later. And we're very proud of what took place today. I think our whole relationship with North Korea and the Korean Peninsula is it's going to be a very much different situation than it has in the past. We both want to do something. We both are going to do something. And we have developed a very special bond. So people are going to be very impressed. People are going to be very happy. And we're going to take care of a very big and very dangerous problem for the world. And I want to thank Chairman Kim. Spent a lot of time together today, very intensive time. And I would actually say that it worked out for both of us far better than anybody could have expected. I think far better. I watched the various news reports. I would say far better than anybody even predicted. And this is going to lead to more and more and more. And it's an honor to be with you. Very great honor. Thank you. Thank you to all of your representatives very much.
오늘 둘 다 뭔가 이루어내려고 싶어하고 또 둘의 특별한 관계가 오늘 시작되었습니다. 그리고 우리는 아주 여러 가지 중요한 여러 가지 문제의 해결에 시작을 했다라고 말씀드릴 수가 있습니다. 김 위원장님께 감사드리고 또 내가 보기에는 오늘 만남이 누가 기대했던 것보다 또 누가 예측했던 것보다도 좋은 만남이고 좋은 결과로 이루어질 것 같습니다. 또 앞으로 더 많은 진척이 있을 것 같고 이렇게 만나게 된 것을 영광으로 생각합니다. 김 위원장님 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Will you invite Chairman Kim to the White House?
Absolutely, I will.
Mr. Kim, would you like to come to Washington?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Quite a sight there indeed. The first time a sitting U.S. president has met with a North Korean leader, and in the last few minutes, they have just both signed a document. No concrete details on what is inside that document. That is coming, Donald Trump said, in about 2 hours' time. Kim Jong-un said that they have decided to leave the past behind and that the world will see major change. And Trump said that they are going to tackle a big and dangerous problem. They both seem to have developed a, quote, special bond. That is what Donald Trump has said. So again, for those of you who are just joining us, we have just seen U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un signing a document together, and we will find out more about that document. And joining me in the studio to analyze what we have just seen, truly historic, there is Alistair Sadford. Alistair, what do you make of what we just witnessed there?
Tessa, I don't think I've ever seen such excitement about a closed door and waiting for it to open. This is, first of all, classic Donald Trump, all this spectacle and constantly telling the media, you want to know what's happening? Just wait and see, a little bit more down the line, a little bit further. So he spoke of far more there than Kim Jong-un. He said, as you said, you know, they've got this great document. We're going to see everything in a while. It's a comprehensive letter. He showed it off and you could see it's a good page of A4 and a bit. But as for the content, we simply don't know. The hard questions that lie ahead are, is this just going to be generalities about a path towards peace, about talks? Mike Pompeo had said this is just going to be the framework for the hard work to follow. And of course, those hard questions are, well, what Pompeo said himself about CVID, complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization. How far down the path are we going to go towards that, and what will North Korea have in return for that?
And I think what's interesting is that Donald Trump did play down expectations for this meeting, and here we are seeing them signing a document that could contain a framework or could contain something more concrete.
I think, yes, the main thing here is that it's happening at all. It wasn't so long ago that these two who've just signed that document were at loggerheads with each other. There was Rocket Man against the dotard, you know, Fire and Fury and the gangster. And now here they are at least stopping, no longer saying, you know, my nuclear button is bigger than yours, but they're actually signing a document that looks like it's going to lead to something. But of course, there's lots of skepticism. Trump got in his criticism of the skeptics in advance, saying a lot of people expected nothing from this, and yet our meeting has gone far better than anyone has predicted. But what's the reaction going to be in South Korea? What's the reaction going to be in places like China? Does this pave the way for Japan as well, who are very worried, of course, about short-range missiles? We can talk about long-range nuclear missiles, but Japan are in the firing line, and North Korea has fired missiles, you know, over their territory. So they're worried about whether this is just going to be used by North Korea as propaganda, and there's going to be little more than that.
And again, there's that aspect that may or may not, we don't know, have been talked about, but the human rights aspect of this whole thing, how can it play into the deal that will be struck between the two men?
Yes, and we've heard from human rights activists. There have been others quoted in the newspapers, you know, North Korean defectors saying, Trump, you know, what are you doing? What are you going to get from this? Do you know what the situation is like? We're talking about the country with perhaps the worst human rights record on earth, people sent to prison camps for very little, as well as, of course, desperate poverty. And really, a lot of people look at the flags we can see behind Trump, North Korean flag alongside the American flag, the two leaders looking like, you know, world statesmen. This is exactly what North Korea...
And some people were reacting negatively to that fact, that the flags were equal, and they were equal in this image.
And the critics saying that North Korea will use that for all it's worth.
And we are just looking at live pictures from Singapore now. Let's just listen in if we can hear.
Smart negotiator, absolutely. We had a terrific day, and we learned a lot about each other and about our countries.
What did you learn about him? What did you learn about him, sir?
I learned he's a very talented man. I also learned that he loves his country very much.
When will you see each other again?
Will you be meeting again, sir?
Will you be seeing each other again soon?
We'll meet many times. Thank you very much, everybody.
So we heard there another exchange, the two men again together. Donald Trump, from what we can hear, that said that Kim Jong-un is a talented man and that they will meet many times again. Now, Alistair, do stay with me in the studio, but for now, social media is exploding with reactions, second by second. Let's head over to theCUBE where Alex is waiting. Alex, what reactions do we have?
Absolutely, Tessa. Well, it's still the #1 worldwide trend this morning. Welcome to theCUBE, by the way. This is our social media hub. We are across this and everything that is trending, and this is a story that really is blowing up this morning. The team are across everything in real time. I want to bring you in some of those reactions that we're getting straight away. Some people pointing out, well, maybe we're getting a bit excited. We haven't seen what's inside the documents that have been signed and exchanged by Trump and Kim. Somebody here calling it the most expensive "call me maybe" ever. They moved pens on paper. That is all we know. And yes, we've had a lot of warm words from Donald Trump. At the moment, we're yet to see what they've agreed. Another thing which Eric has been pointing out, a lot of people comparing this dynamic between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump to Chairman Mao and Richard Nixon. Let's just bring this up. This is a point James Fallows makes, and he basically says, this is, you can compare the way they sit together, the backgrounds, to that relationship that seemed to be there between Nixon and Mao. Now, a lot of people praising this. Some people, however, pointing out that actually this is uncomfortable. This tweet here from Kyle basically saying these warm words, this thumbs up, they mirror some of what he calls the excess that Nixon showed towards China. Then he points out that actually Kim Jong-un is a murderous dictator presiding over what he calls a slave colony. So loads of reactions. Let me know yours using #theCUBE.
All right, thank you for monitoring that, Alex. Let's now head over to Seoul, where we have Janice Mackie-Freyer standing by for us. Janice, what is the reaction where you are?
Janice.
Apologies for that.
Well, this is exactly the sort of scene that South Korean President Moon Jae-in was hoping for out of this summit. It was his meeting with Kim Jong-un in April that laid the groundwork for this historic meeting with President Trump that was on and then off again, much to the surprise of South Koreans, of course, before getting back on the rails. We still don't know what is in that document that is signed. It's expected that it's somewhat general in nature, no real substance, perhaps an acknowledgement of the progress just to make it to the same table, but also a pledge to keep the momentum going. That can mean a lot of things, depending on where you sit. South Koreans will be looking for some security assurances, where Kim Jong-un may be looking to have U.S. troops removed from the region. South Koreans will want to see some sort of continuation of the U.S. security umbrella that has existed here for generations. Japan has also been watching this nervously from the sidelines, hoping that President Trump would be a voice for Japanese who are concerned by the threat of short-range missiles. But again, all of these details, of course, will not be contained in this document that was just signed. This is the real work that everybody is talking about. The Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, will be traveling to Seoul tomorrow and then going on to Beijing. China, of course, plays a major role in this and will be monitoring for reaction out of Chinese officials. Tessa.
All right. Thank you for that, Janice Mackey-Freyer. Apologies for the long delay there. Thank you for staying with us today, and we will leave you with today's No Comment. Latest pictures from Singapore, that is.
Okay.